The sixth illustration in the center of the book is like super important because it talks about what is the X factor. And the X factor is the differential between your hip rotation in the backswing versus how much your shoulders turn. And that's not something that I invented, but before I wrote this book, I would see 45 degrees of hip turn and 90 degrees of shoulder turn. But when I looked at the PGA tours, I studied videotape, and as I played with a lot of great players, it became obvious to me that these numbers were just estimations. And a lot of players on the PGA Tour, the best players in the world, turn their shoulders more than 90 degrees. So on this page, you're going to see something that blows away a lot of the misconceptions in the X factor. And that would be 60 degrees of hip turn versus 100 degrees of shoulder turn to rip a driver. Now, it turns out in modern golf, when we look at the great players, a lot of them are turning their hips way less than that. They can still turn their hips, their shoulders, more than 90 degrees. They can turn it 100 degrees and maybe have 40 degrees of hip turn in the backswing. So they can get a tremendous amount of gap, or what we call a differential, between the shoulders and the hips. One of the worst things that I see is when a person tries to get more turn and they turn the hips and shoulders together. Well, that creates no gap, creates no stretch, creates no resistance, and I want to see the speed going forward. But I think this picture really shows you what I'm trying to write about in this book, of how to build the differential, the gap, the big X factor in your swing. And it isn't just freezing your legs and turning back, which a lot of people I've seen write about and talk about with the X factor as being a mistake, but that's not in the book.